It's time for Ford Mock Draft 5.0, my final mock draft at number 1. You guys know I'm not a huge Mendoza guy, but he's going to be the pick here. Like any quarterback picked in the first round, pretty much, it's going to come down to the situation. Did Vegas do enough? Did they build the offensive line enough? Did they get him enough weapons? Did they rebuild the defense? Does he have a run game? All of that is going to tie into whether or not Mendoza is viewed as a hit or a bust. It's not fair, but that's the way it works as a quarterback drafted first overall. At number 2, this is something that I've really wavered on the last couple mock drafts. For the longest time, I had Arvell Reese here. I have David Bailey because I think Aaron Glenn's desperate. Arvell Reese has sky-high potential, but he has little to no experience playing on the edge. David Bailey, not as high potential. Don't want to discredit him. He's still going second overall. With that said, Aaron Glenn, he's desperate. He's going to go for the proven product. Monty Ossenfort loves moving in the draft. He trades in or out of the first round, seemingly every single draft. Sometimes he does both. Here, he's going to move down. The Chiefs have made it clear they want to move up. They get Arvell Reese. They take a chance on him. Spags can develop him. All of a sudden, if he hits, you have him and George Karlaftis with Chris Jones still in the middle. And then, 15's coming back with a vengeance at quarterback. The Chiefs do this all-in move. They give up picks 9 and 29, I believe is their second pick. Plus probably some later picks that we don't have to get into. At 4, I don't love it, man. Tony Pollard has been the lone bright spot on Tennessee. 1,000 yards, back-to-back seasons. With that said, Jeremiah Love is one of one. He's the best player in the draft. He has that electric speed with a bigger build of Jahmyr Gibbs. No question. You just can't let him fall any further. If Arizona stays put for some reason, I think that makes a bunch of sense. Go look at the other mock drafts to hear why. At 5, the Giants have Malik Neighbors coming back, but let's get Jackson Dart another weapon in Carnell Tate. He doesn't have to have all the pressure of being the number 1 guy, and all of a sudden, that Giants offense looks legit for the first time in forever. At 6, a lot of people are going to be surprised to see 2 wide receivers in the top 6. Don't be. Jordan Tyson would probably be the number 1 wide receiver in this draft if he was 100% healthy. I think teams are starting to be a little bit more okay with the health. Cleveland needs a playmaker badly for Shedeur Sanders. They grab one here. At 7, Washington could go in a few different directions, including wide receiver if Tyson is still there. But they need a linebacker, man. Bobby Wagner, we'll see if he ends up coming back. In the meantime, no, Dan Quinn's going to find himself a new Bobby Wagner to develop in Sony Styles. I have no problem picking this guy in the top 5. I don't care about positional value. I think he's one of the few blue-chip talents available this year. At 8, I think another guy that teams are going to be able to look past some injury history because of how ultra-talented he is. Jermon McCoy has that one-of-one athleticism where he could truly be a shutdown man-to-man corner, something that is so rare in the NFL. The Saints go ahead and grab him here. At number 9, the Cardinals are picking here since they traded back with the Chiefs. Ruben Bain makes too much sense. We saw Jalen Carter go 9th overall with similar off-the-field issues, plus some other stuff that Ruben Bain doesn't have. A lot less baggage with number 4 than with Jalen Carter. With that said, Bain's not the player Jalen Carter is or was. They need a pass rusher opposite of Montez Sweat. He goes here. Arizona needs talent badly. Ruben Bain also might be one of the few blue-chip guys this year. At 10, the Giants are going to find more help for Jackson Dart. They already gave him another wide receiver. Now they're going to give him a tackle. This puts less pressure on Evan Neal to develop. Also, Maui Yoga, who knows? Maybe you kick him inside the guard at some point. You can always move him back. No, that's easier said than done. Andrew Thomas has also missed time. So let's bolster that offensive line for the future of the New York Giants. At 11, this pick for all my mock drafts has been Makai Lemon to the Dolphins. With that said, there needs to be a clear culture change, and that starts with the offensive line. Spencer Fano heads to Miami. Caleb Downs just seems like he's going to wear a star this season. He goes to the Cowboys here. Every year, a safety drops further than they should. Last year, Xavier Watts was a first-round talent. He went in round 3. Brian Branch should have been a first-round pick. He went in round 2. Kyle Hamilton dropped further than he should, and people viewed him as maybe the best safety prospect of all time. Derwin James was viewed as the best player in that draft by some teams. He went 18th overall. Teams don't value the safety position. Even a generational type player like Caleb Downs, he's going to fall here to 12, and it just feels like a Cowboys pick. There's really been 3 things I've done with the Cowboys in all my mock drafts. A safety, Caleb Downs or Thieneman, Keldrick Falk, or an edge rusher, mostly Keldrick Falk at 20, or a wide receiver, because I truly think that they're going to draft a receiver sooner rather than later to put some pressure, or at least try to put some pressure on George Pickens as they negotiate. At 13, I have the Rams going Omar Cooper. He just feels like a Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan wide receiver, somebody who's going to fight for every last blade of grass. This is another one that we have not changed really throughout the pre-draft process. Another pick that I'm really sold on, Ione to Baltimore. I think he's going to go a lot higher than what people realize. Baltimore has a few different needs, but they're going to bolster the offensive line moving forward. This is one of those picks where I don't necessarily think it should happen, but I do think it will. Sadiq to Tampa Bay. Sadiq has a chance to be elite. Cade Otton is not elite, but he's French top 10, and you just paid him. I get it. Sadiq's more than just a tight end. And I said something similar. I thought Ibuka was a great player last year, but why draft him? You have so many guys. But McMillan was hurt, Godwin was hurt, and Mike Evans just left in free agency. So Jason Light got the last laugh on that one. Maybe they do it again with Sadiq. At 16, Delane lacks the top-end speed and athleticism that McCoy has, but he's tenacious, great ball production, and the Jets, they need that after 0 interceptions. Aaron Glenn has a new toy. Hopefully Geno Smith can cook something up, because we just went back-to-back defensive picks, and who knows, maybe the top of the second-round pick is going to be a quarterback to replace Geno. At 17, another pick that I'm not really wavering on, Monroe Freeling. Whether he has to kick inside the guard eventually or not, he can be the right tackle when Penei Sewell moves to left. At 18, everybody's going to say Dylan Thieneman to Minnesota here. Replaces Harrison Smith. Even if Harrison Smith comes back, you need a long-term solution there. I love Dylan Thieneman. I think he's worthy of a top 15 pick. With that said, as I've been saying, NFL teams do not value the safety position nearly as high as I do. They do value defensive linemen. Caden McDonald's the only guy who I think is worthy of a first-round pick from the interior defensive line position. You look at the elite teams in the NFC, they love to run the football. You have Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan with the Rams and Niners. You have Philadelphia. You have Detroit. Everybody loves to run the football. Caden McDonald is going to help fix that for Minnesota. You already lost Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. The year prior, you lost Harrison Phillips. They've been trying to get tougher. They got tougher on the offensive line last season. Now let's get tougher on the defensive line. You have some tremendous edge rushers. Let's help those guys out. Caden McDonald to Minnesota. 19, Chris Johnson to the Panthers has been my go-to. He can be the starting cornerback opposite of J.C. Horn. Could go Mekhi Lemon. He is on the board. Maybe Carolina does go 3 receivers in 3 straight first rounds. At 20, I alluded to it earlier, Keldrick Falk goes to Dallas. Mekhi Lemon is on the board, so he could be the guy here. I don't get the fascination with Mekhi Lemon. He's not my cup of tea. I don't get the fascination by Steelers fans specifically. Where are all this ball production coming from? Okay, Michael Pittman and DK Metcalf, that's the best wide receiver room you've had in forever. You have 2 tight ends. You have 2 running backs. I don't know where all these balls are coming from, but Mekhi Lemon, the value here, he goes to Pittsburgh, trying to balance out what I would do versus what I think is going to happen. I think Ione and Besantis are the only true guards who are worthy of a first-round pick. I think a lot of tackles will kick inside the guard. The Chargers have Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt coming back. You signed Tyler Biadasz. Now let's continue to bolster that offensive line for Justin Herbert with Besantis. Ian Knocker to the Eagles continues to be my favorite. Talent-wise, just as good as any tackle in the draft. He can sit and develop behind Lane Johnson. Yeah, Philly lost their offensive line coach, but I still have faith that he's going to be just fine. Cleveland already has their wide receiver. Now let's go ahead and give them a tackle in Blake Miller. Chicago gets the ultra-talented Thieneman. Happy. Athletic freak. A little bit of run on safety. The Bills get Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. San Francisco gets their tackle of the future with Lomu. Houston already has a traditional tight end who's very good in Dalton Schultz. Eli Stowers was the universal number 1 tight end forever. Sadiq ran a sub 4.4, and now he's not even getting first-round love. He goes to Houston here. He's better than any wide receiver available. A little bit of a surprise. Arizona's not going to go Ty Simpson. They're fine going into Friday without a quarterback drafted, even if that means the Jets draft Simpson. Jadarian Price, once again, not my favorite running back, but people like him for some reason. He reminds me a lot of Omarion Hampton. Arizona needs a running back. James Conner's old and has had multiple devastating injuries. And Tyler Algier, is he really the guy you want to be your bell cow? Detroit does go wide receiver now with Casey Concepcion. His first appearance in my mocks. Patriots could trade down here for somebody trying to get Ty Simpson. Instead, they're going to go Akeem Mesidor. Same thing with Seattle. They could trade down here. Colton Hood, though, I think that he should have gone earlier. He goes now. He replaces Woolen. Also consider Cassius Howe.